Hey guys, it's Becca,
And Rachel,
and we are talking to you guys today about TFCs.
since camp is coming up,
Yeah. So there will be a much bigger series that we want to do
way
about
more in
this.
depth.
But with the fact that they're doing recruitment this week and trying to get all of your guys' kids and your guys' friends into this group right now, we felt it was take your guys' money. We thought it was really important to say something, anything.
Yes. So, with that being said, we weren't exactly sure how we wanted to do this, and so I, on a whim, just kind of got on the website and looked around because I had never actually seen an application or anything, and they have this very specific page where, like, if you're not sure, read this, check this out, see how this feels.
Yeah.
So I just went through it, and when I stopped laughing, I showed Becca.
So I want to throw a disclaimer out there right now that we are going to be talking from our experience, having been in this organization.
Yes.
I was in the leadership group for the last year, and I was in TFCs for all 4 years. And Rachel,
I only did 2.
Yeah. So it was your sophomore and junior year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is not intended to be like hate speech or anything like that. This is literally our experience.
Just our experience.
And what we've had to deal with as adults, trying to unlearn and dig out of the trauma that TFCs caused.
Basically, it's a perspective we wish we had before going in there. So let's just get to it. So on the website where they do the, if you're not sure, come read this, there are 3 bullet points listed and then a little paragraph about each one. So we thought it would be the best thing to do to kind of go through these paragraphs and
debunk them.
Yes, exactly. Say what they said versus what our experience was as they tried to incorporate said sentence or said bullet point into camp when we were there. So the first one is community. So it says, this is absolutely huge to us. We, both staff and students, put a lot of energy into creating a place where you can be yourself.
That's just not true.
Yeah, I would like to know when they did that. Like, is that a new thing? Because that wasn't around when we were there.
No. So things you can't do. You can't be gay. You can't be different. You can't be like on the outskirts of society. You can't be sexually active. You
in
can't,
any variation.
Nope. You can't be impure. You can't be any version that they just don't want you to be.
Yes, there's a very cookie cutter thing that they want you to be, and if you stray from that, you will hear about it.
Yep, they want you to be a very specific version of a teenage Christian so that they can present it and be like, look at how great we're doing. Look at all the great works we're doing.
Yes.
And then you, as the person who they've created into a cookie cutter, constantly are just trying to live up to that expectation so that you keep getting the love and affection of the people that are your mentors and the people that you desperately want love from.
Yep. We fight against the normal high school drama and social ladder.
That's the biggest line of bullshit. So, they literally will pick favorites. So you have like mentors in this group, and they will pick their favorites and give those people more attention and more like care and guidance and things like that. And so the people under them are just desperately trying to be like those favorites so that they can get the attention and love that those people are getting, because everyone in this group is like starved for love, and because everyone has trauma that they're coming into this with.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the staff know that they're doing this, and they intentionally pick people that they believe are the best ideals of what they want everyone to look like, so that everyone else will strive to look like that.
So just to break it down a little bit, she was a favorite. I was not a favorite. I was labeled very early on as rebellious.
Yeah.
I did not want to give all of my time to this organization. I did not want to give up pretty much bodily autonomy to this organization. I had an interest in building relationships and building a relationship with God if That's what I decided to do. But I also wanted to maintain being my own person. Then my best friend in the organization, she had nothing. She had no rights to herself at all. I watched her kill herself for years to gain the approval of an organization that it starts on day one. It starts the first day of camp.
Yeah.
You walk in and you're not yourself.
Oh, it starts before that. It starts with when you're at family camp and you're seeing all these cool kids who are the TFCers walking around and just desperately wanting to be able to have the friendships and relationships with the other people at camp that they have. And that's what draws you in. That's what you couldn't have stopped me from joining TFCs. I'd spent my entire childhood seeing these kids walking around and literally like they were the celebrities of camp.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I wanted that so bad.
We're sure not perfect. We try to live in a way that there's enough grace for all of our imperfections.
There's no grace.
Pretty much just like rewind the last 45 seconds of this video, play it back. If you join TFCs, you will make a lot of new friends and they're likely to be very close friendships. The thing with this is that they're right. They're right. We've been best friends going on 10 years. The only reason that we were as close as we were was because I have seen sides of her that the people in her life that had been her friends for years up until that point had never seen. Because what they do when you get there is they break you down mentally. You think that you're signing up to go on a retreat pretty much, where you're gonna sing some sing songs and you're gonna swim and you're gonna rock climb and you're gonna do all those things. And while you do, at night, when you have a worship service, in your little itinerary, you have a worship service that starts at this time, bed by this time. You will never be in bed at that time.
No.
Ever. You will get up when you're supposed to, but you're going to be exhausted because you stopped worshiping 3 hours before that. It's all night. And they hammer you. If you're not crying, you're wrong.
Yeah. I don't think that after probably the first couple of days of TFC camp, I don't think I ever went to a night of TFC camp where I wasn't on my knees bawling my eyes out. And if you ask me why, I have no idea.
Absolutely
not. I was trained to think that there was something wrong with me, and the fact that I couldn't label it meant that I wasn't trying hard enough, and I had to keep going. I had to keep digging to figure out what was so wrong with me, and if I could label it, then I could stop crying and be like, that's the thing that I'm going to work on now. But until I could label it, I had to keep digging and digging and digging. And you know what the truth is? Nothing was wrong.
No, nothing. What's wrong with you at 14 that you need to bawl your eyes out to find
and question your entire personhood?
Yes. But you're also told at that time that, the more in-depth relationship you have with God, the more you learn about yourself and all of his promises he has for you and all of these great things he has laid out for your life. And if you can't find the things that are wrong with you, the sins, the impurities, the imperfections, then why would God award you XYZ that he's promised? Yeah. So you're 14 and you don't know anything at 14 because you're stupid and you're 14. And now you've been tasked with this. If you can't figure out everything, you have to figure out your whole life before you figure out algebra. Because your eternal life is on the line.
Yeah.
At 14, at 16, at 17. Who cares if the quarterback winked at you? Where are you going when you die? For a week.
Yeah.
With no phone, no one you actually know. You can't call your mama. You can't do anything. You're stuck. And they make you appreciate it. They make you excited for it. They make you, God, I can't wait to go to church tonight and cry and figure out what's wrong with me for the 5th night in a row. Who needs sleep? Sleep when you're dead. I know where I'm going when that happens. It could go on forever. Forever.
Which the worship sessions did.
Which they did. The next one. That was just the first one. The next one, pursuit of God. So, we take this community and we give it direction. Imagine a bunch of your peers going through the same stuff you're going through, all trying all while trying to figure out how to live life through the lens of their faith in God. That's literally on this website of why you should be there. So you and everyone around you can be going through the same thing together. I'm sorry, what is the definition of a trauma bond?
What is the definition of a cult? Making sure that everyone around you looks exactly the same so that you don't question what's happening.
Is this normal? Shh. Are you happy? Shh. That doesn't matter. None of that matters. Are you tired? Yes? Good.
That makes you more emotionally manipulative.
You're one step closer, depending on how sleep deprived you are. We strive to make your walk with Christ something completely practical. It's not enough to tell you to live for Christ. We'll help show you how.
So when I hear that, what I hear is we will make you want to emulate us, not God.
Absolutely.
We will show you what it looks like to be a good Christian, which means you're not actually worshiping Jesus. You're worshiping the leaders of this group. 110%.
And while you're trying to figure out all the things that are wrong with you, you start treating all of the mentors as though they were your journal. Here's a secret, and here's a secret. Is this what's wrong with me? Is this what's wrong with me? Well, I did this on this day, and you just unload. And one of the things that I think is so crazy is that these mentors also unload. I can't tell you how many mentors I know what they did on their wedding night, if they waited until their wedding night, if they've ever been assaulted, and who did it. And I'm 14. And I'm just having a woman I met 3 days ago tell me about her sexual assault like it's normal. I'm having a guy tell me about, like a grown man tell me about his porn addiction that he overcome like it's normal. That's not normal.
Yeah.
I don't know you, sir.
Also, these people who have no degrees in psychology.
No degrees.
No knowledge of how to be therapists try and help me through truly traumatic and therapy-worthy things. No.
They very rarely ever contact the parents either.
No, my parents didn't know anything.
That's a big point, is you'll tell your secrets to these mentors. And I know more than a handful of some of these girls had been through some stuff. Their parents were never contacted.
Some stuff that should have gone to the police. And you know what was never mentioned? Going to the police.
Going to the police.
It was always, well, how do we heal you?
How can this bring you closer to God? How is God going to use you through this?
Oh, I hate that line.
Right?
I hate that
But
line.
it's just like, when is the police report getting filed? Can you drive me to the police station right now? Absolutely not.
Yep.
So, you will never be contacted.
Yeah.
Ever.
Your kid tells one of these people about the person in her life who's been sexually abusing her.
You'll never know. Ever.
Never know. She or he unloads, that they want to kill themselves. You'll never know.
You never know.
Nope. They will keep that because they don't want to break the trust, right? Like, they don't want to break the trust of the kid, which is the worst thing. If a therapist heard that, they have a legal obligation to do something.
Well, nothing in this organization is legal. Ministry opportunity. We're tired of hearing you called the Church of Tomorrow.
Sorry, that just
triggered.
So...
We believe you can be trained. Yeah, they said trained. Like trained. Not helped, not inspired. Trained. Trained. Sorry, I got... Oh, there's trained. We believe you can be trained to minister today. We want to help you search out what gifts you've been given. And yes, we've all been given gifts. And help you develop those gifts to serve now in your local church and beyond.
So, Rachel, genuine question.
Yes.
You were there for all of my TFC journey, pretty much.
It was wonderful.
When would I have had time to be a minister to my local church? When did I ever get to go to my local church? Between TFCs and all the other things I had going on in my life. Yeah, exactly. Granted, I was a very involved high schooler. Like, I had theater and choir and band and TFCs, Sunshine, FFA, voice lessons, piano lessons. Like, I was a crazy
undiagnosed
child.
ADHD. We know, it's fine.
Yup. But, also, when I brought that up to somebody, one staff member questioned it one time, and they were like, that just seems like a lot. Like, when do you have time for yourself? And I was like, I don't. It's fine. And they were like, okay.
Serving God.
Yeah. But yeah, so in all of that, like, Saturdays were for TFCs and Sundays were for Sunshine. When was I supposed to have time to go to my local church and minister there?
Or minister anywhere.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. I was supposed to minister in all the other activities I was doing. I was supposed to recruit those people to TFCs.
That's a big thing, is if you were to have any relationships outside of TFCs, it's solely to bring those children to TFCs. Yep. Which meant that you had an agenda.
Yep.
With every single thing that you did. And on top of having an agenda, you had guilt. That if you didn't make TFCs, or at least I did, if I didn't make TFCs seem like a super rad, fun-filled place that kids wanted to go to, then their eternal damnation was on my shoulders.
Yep.
I wasn't good enough. I didn't make it seem fun enough.
And the crazy thing, I had friends who would go with me to TFCs, and they would go to one of these events, and they would go to the worship sessions, and they would go to the concert after, and we'd be on the ride home, and they'd be like, what the hell did I just experience?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, that was so creepy.
They're like, you pay to be here?
And I'm like, no, you just don't get it. It just seems crazy. Like, if you come a couple more times, it'll be fine. Like, it just seems crazy right now. And they're like, no, that's just legitimately crazy. Yeah. Like, that's just kind of gross. And you're like, no, you just didn't get it.
You know what my favorite one was? When friends would be like, why didn't you tell me you had so much going on? You just cried for 4 hours.
Yeah. And they'd be like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. I just have feelings.
I'm just not enough.
All the time. Like, my friends would seriously sit me down and be like, you know that, like, you can come to me.
Yeah.
If you're not okay. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm fine. And they're like, why? They're like, you didn't just, like, cry when Marley died and Marley and me. You cried like your mom just got ran over by a bus.
Yeah. And then burned in a fire.
Yeah. And you're just kind of sitting there like, well, I'm in touch with my emotions.
Well, but so the other side of that, I just thought about this. You go cry like somebody literally just, like, stabbed you in the stomach, ripped your organs out, and then shoved them back in. And then you have to suck it all up and go perform a concert 10 minutes later.
Yep.
But if you didn't cry during the worship session, something's wrong.
It's like something's blocked.
So you learn how to suppress your emotions and how to put on a mask and how to pretend to be okay.
But get this. I think the best like mind-boggling thing here is, right, so you have these worship services right before the concert. So you're crying during these sessions, and then they haul all of these teens on stage as the congregation comes in. So you're freshly met with Jesus and having more of your trauma bond inspired. And then this whole thing is to bring people to Jesus. It's like a sermon. It's like a message, right? So then in every song that you sing, you are so filled with the Holy Spirit already that your hands are up, your eyes are closed, you're worshiping as hard as you can. And then and only then, when everyone is so engulfed in what we're doing, then we ask for an offering. Look at what we've done to America's youth. They're so involved in the Spirit.
They're so on fire for Jesus.
So engulfed in the Word. We did that. Continue to give us your money.
So that we can keep doing that for them.
Yeah.
And what the actual side of that is continue to give us your money so that we can pay ourselves and we can continue to traumatize the youth of America.
Yep.
Because they're the church of tomorrow.
And if any of these kids ever snap, ever do anything, ever do what we're doing right now, we're just not good Christians.
And we get text messages telling us that we need to come to them and explain our grievances because this isn't how we were taught to handle things.
So, to sum up, don't do it. Don't put your kids through this.
So, yeah, I think the two things that we want to say the most is parents, don't blindly send your children here.
No.
Ask way too many questions. Be way too cautious. Be very hesitant to let your kids be a part of this.
Yes.
Because we are 26 and still unloading and processing everything we went through in this group.
I think the second that I would have learned that none of these people, or not really any of these people, have degrees in child psychology, that would have been it for me. Why would I send my kid to you?
Especially when you are going to be their confidant.
Yes.
And you are going to be in charge of their mental state during these things. And I don't know why parents didn't question more why their kids were just bawling on the floor all the time. I don't understand it.
Nope.
And then to TFCs, if you genuinely, I know most of you are going to watch this and be like, oh, God, here goes Becca and Rachel again, making a big deal, being dramatic. Okay.
Yep.
You can sit in your fantasy that this is just us being dramatic. But we're not the only people that experience this. We're just the ones willing to talk about it.
Yep.
And why don't you actually challenge yourselves and look at yourselves? Like, genuinely question whether what you're doing is okay.
Yeah.
You should not have 80 children bawling their eyes out on the floor on a daily basis for an entire week.
No.
That's not healthy. It destroys people.
Yeah.
So TFCs, be better.
Do
or stop.
Better. Or stop.
But yeah, so we will be putting out more
if you
stuff.
liked this, check out the video that's coming where we, talk about more. One more thing. And I'm talking to you moms right now. More moms. Dads, you can, stay here. Moms. These adults that don't have degrees are going to give your kids the sex talk without your permission. And you're not going to know when it is.
And it's going to be super damaging and full of purity culture, basically telling them that their worth is in their vagina.
And they're not going to have a whole lot to back it up with because, one, how do you back that? But two, it's where a lot of the sexual secrets come out. That's when I learned how many of my female mentors had been assaulted, how many of my female mentors had sexual regrets. And it was an entire message of them putting their guilt, shame, remorse onto us.
Yep.
And basically saying, if you don't want to grow up with these traits, close your legs.
Yep.
There is no education of safe sex. There is no if this happens to you, call this person. It's not education. It's matter of opinion and putting other people in other people's business where they don't belong.
And none of it is like, if something happens to you, go to your parents, go to the police. None of it's that.
No.
It's, if something happened to you, you can be forgiven.
And hopefully learn a lesson that will help you bring other people to God.
Yep.
This is what you needed to shake up your life, to figure out where your path leads. This is something that God did to show you something. So in the midst of your sexual assault, or even just your super positive losing your virginity, what did you do wrong and how can you fix it? And from what I know of what guys are told, they're basically told, find you a submissive lady.
And that we are the temptresses. And our entire purpose is to make babies and to be temptresses. And so they just need to find a submissive woman who does not use her body to trap men.
So when your daughter is wearing a turtleneck in 80-degree weather, it's because she was shamed into it.
Yeah. But join us later for more.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't do it.
Don't do it.